Zelda, it's for the last time. Or is it? Or is it? Hola community, welcome to the last episode of the year for Blender.Today live. Another year has passed. This year we're taking a break. I'm taking a break from making these live streams. 2 years ago, if you've been around for enough time, you may remember that during December I tried to go hang out with my family. I'm from Argentina, and I don't see them ever. It's I don't have the luck to be super close. So, but I have the luck to have them around, so I'm gonna go hang out with them. But before, we're gonna hang out with you and see what's new in Blender. It's a bunch of announcements this week. Not so much in the new features. Remember, we are still in this time around the crazy times where there is the 3.0 fixes happening for the next 2 weeks. Then 3.1 is getting shaped, and there have been announcements about what even is gonna come for 3.2. Did you notice what I did that? What even is gonna come for 3.2, for Blender 3.2? Isn't that just fucking freaking crazy? Okay, so first of all, let's make the best out of this by having some questions. Here, look at Green's gold thread in Blender.community. Here's gonna find the questions, the place where you can leave the questions. I'm gonna try to answer them towards the end of the show, but we are also streaming live, so I'm reading your comments here. Nice new nose ring. Thank you. I had it for a few months now, but I was a bit insecure, so I tried not to show it too much. So yeah, let's just get to it. Let's just get to it. Otherwise, we won't have time to cover. Although, again, as I said, the list is not that long. There's more about announcements. And first of all, this is the last Blender.Today live. However, it's not the last Blender event of the year. There will be more if you help. Yes, because there is the Blender Is event. You know, Blender 3.0 is coming in a couple weeks. Blender 3.0 is scheduled to be released on December 3rd because you know, it would be a great day. December 3rd, 3D, 3 December. Is a great day to release the version 3 of Blender 3. So, of Blender 3, 3D, 3 December. Of course, that would be the best, but if it's not possible, just make a video. Blender Is. What is Blender for you? So, I ask, this has been around for a while actually, for a few weeks already, the call for content. Please, if you want to join, like similar to what happened in Together Apart, although the Together Apart event was a bit more, maybe more, had a lot more heart because, you know, 2020 was a crazy year. However, now it's more about what is Blender for you. How do you use it in your daily life? How can you, what part of your life Blender is? We know it's also emotional. It has the emotional part. For me, Blender is the reason why I left my city, my hometown. I'm with friends and family, but to pursue my dreams. But also, it's my job. It's my daily job. So, what is Blender for you? Make a video, less than 120 seconds, less than 2 minutes, and hopefully before here it says 25th November, which is Thursday, but if you submit it on Friday, it's also fine. Just don't do it later than that, because then the people that has to review this, so Don, Francesco, Balai, and me, and whoever wants to help with this, it's they have more time to prepare it. You know, hopefully it's gonna be ready for the release of Blender 3 in 3 December. Yes, the links all the links are in the description, by the way. Okay. Another announcement that happened this week is the actual release, the one that is happening right, the stable release that is out now, and that is also happens to be a long-term support release. 2.93.6 came out. The latest version has the latest corrective release for 2.93 has over 28 yeah, 28 fixes on top of the other 20 something fixes before, and the other 20, I think it's over 100 or 200 fixes since the first release. It's still gonna keep going though. June 2023, so long time from now, is the end of support for 2.93. So if you're in the middle of a big project, stick with 2.93. There's no need to move into Blender 3 because the files that you make with Blender 3 and onwards are not always going to be compatible with 2.9. So make sure that if you are going to move forward, stick in the newer version. Don't go back because it's tricky. 3.0 is it's a good moment where developers can say, okay, let's clean up this part of the code, or let's make a breaking change because things need to be better, and this is the moment. So 3.0 is here, is work in progress, but if you stick with 2.93, remember you're gonna have fixes until 2023. Just like 2.83 was released in 2020 and still gonna get fixes until 2022. So yay for that. Okay, so that is Blender 3. Blender is 2.93.6. It's out. Remember, if you're using Windows, Windows Store, Windows, Mac OS on Linux, Steam, or Snap, you're gonna get automatically updated. Oh, one warning though: if you're using the Windows Store installed right now, like the one from that we linked to, that is using the latest Blender release. So when this, oh, the link is wrong. I know it's 283. Yes. So if in the when Blender 3 comes out, there will be a new Blender 2.93 product on the Windows Store. So you're gonna have to install that one instead. The current Blender that you have is gonna be updated to Blender 3.0. Just be sure. I mean, it's gonna look different. I don't think you're gonna miss the fact that it's Blender 3 from Blender 2.93 because the splash changes, the number changes, the theme has changed. There is a few things that will make it give a hint that you're in a new version. Just a heads up. There will be a new link, just like here. I think there is a 2.90. You can find 2.83 gratis. All of Blenders are gratis. Just keep in mind that. The other thing, okay, let's I talk about 3.0, 2.93. Let's talk about what is... Okay, first of all, let's talk about 3.0 before moving into 3.1. So 3.0, it's this again, I said it's a moment where developers can break things, but also when new policies in general for Blender can be applied. And there is one that may affect you if you have if you are using one of the add-ons that are using commercial, but like they link to commercial services or to online services in Blender that are built in with Blender. We are only talking about those add-ons that come with Blender, not the ones that you downloaded from somewhere online. Gumroad, Blender Market, those are fine. I mean that the add-ons that come with Blender that connect to internet services or commercial services, or they tell you to get this extension for a pro version, something like that, they're not going to be included in Blender anymore as part of the new requirements for add-ons. So the policy change means that the add-ons that are going to be included with Blender that you're going to get when you download Blender are going to follow the same treatment as regular C code. You don't have a feature in Blender in cycles that says, hey, get the pro version of... No, you don't. So the same should apply to add-ons. Add-ons should be fully open source, which they are, and they should have their documentation on blender.org. Any other connection that is outside of blender.org domains is no longer allowed. That affects only a few add-ons. I think the Sketchfab add-on that was in Contriv, it wasn't even in the official release, it was in dailies, in the daily builds. So that is affected. Then Blender Kit is also affected. They even in the commit log where they mention this is the message. Basically, Blender Kit development has moved into Git. The version will be in Git. The documentation and everything is in BlenderKit. So the downside is that, yeah, that not everybody is going to get the BlenderKit add-on updated with Blender itself. They're going to have to install it on their own ways. But on the other hand, it also includes, it opens new possibilities, like here, like it's mentioned by Willem, because the fact that something is built in Blender, that is inside of Blender, it limits the amount of libraries and the type of libraries that you include with Blender, right? Like if you have a library for image manipulation, video, I don't know, some AI stuff, it's much easier to bundle it with your add-on if you just offer your add-on in your own website than if you include it with Blender. So yeah, that is the big difference. BlenderKit, the link is in the description too. You can just find it on github.com/BlenderKit. They are being super nice. They even contribute, and they are part of the development fund, and they even contribute a big percentage of their revenues to Blender. So it's super nice, but I think it's good to be that the Blender Foundation takes this this initiative to provide only the fully open source and services that are truly free for everyone, everywhere. The next, let's see. So other add-ons that get updated affected by this, I think it's Archie Pack, but there is also Archie Mesh within Blender that is fully open source compliant and fully compliant with this. What else? I think that's it. I think the Snap add-on used to link to Blender Artist, where they would offer like a paid version of it. Now it links to Blender.org, where that is not included. So that mention is not, that thing is not mentioned. It's just pure documentation. So that's okay, not affected. So yeah, that is it. Okay, let's talk about 3.1. Shall we do some speculation? I never talk about or the things coming for 3.2. Or first, let's talk about 3. Now, first let's talk about 3.1. What is in 3.1? Okay, there are dates. There are preliminary dates. Beacon 1. We already passed Beacon 1. That was at the end of October. Beacon 2. The end of Beacon 2. That is at the end of the year, sort of. Then Beacon 3, which is what we are now for 3.0, where there's still, like, at the end of the year should be when big features are no longer allowed in 3.1. So anything that is big enough is going to be, I assume 3.1 is going to be mostly performance and not so much about big features, except, of course, Metal support, hopefully Linux support for AMD graphics card heap support. But yeah, prepare release March 2nd and release a week after, hopefully March 9. Isn't that great? It's a 10 days before Tom's birthday, and also a few days before Andy's birthday. So a bunch of birthdays and Blender 3.1, and then the release of the planning for 3.2. So much going on. Okay, the speculation or the what it's coming up for 3.2, let's leave it for later. Let's switch into what's new in Blender 3.1 now in development. So the first most obvious thing they're going to notice if you download Blender recently is that there is a new splash screen. So the splash has been changed to reflect a new era of development. So if you remember the Nebula render by Gleb Alexandrov that was at the Open Blender development, the Blender Master, the one from the Buildbot, you would see this Nebula render. Beautiful render, amazing. Gleb was super nice to share it with us and just let us use it, and also let us use the Blender, the one here in the Blender download page. This is also by Gleb, so we've been super grateful. But I think it's time to change for the 3.x series, and the idea is to update the splash screen for other for newer, bigger releases. So in this case, as you can see, the new release shows Sprite Fright. So it shows, this is the face that you do when opening a under development version. You know, you also have the face when you open Blender's table with the bird Remember that splash? Well, that's still there for the stable. This is the face that you do when you go like in the dark, finding for new features. I hope you like it. I think it's fun to see something else, something different. There is also the little there is 1, 2, 3, 4, or can you count more sprites? Okay, then that's a small thing. You know what? It's not a small thing. The performance improvements. How do you like it to be to paint textures in the image editor be about 2 to 5 times faster? Well, that's the case since this afternoon. By the way, this is not yet in the builder.blender.org because that is updated overnight, and this commit is from a couple hours ago. Performance curve masks. What does it mean? Well, basically it means faster painting in 2D or in the image editor with Blender. So yeah, how much faster? Well, between 2 and 5 times faster, depending on the size of the brush. The bigger the brush, the faster it's gonna get. I thought it would be the opposite, but Jeroen told me that no, it's actually faster if the brush is bigger. What else? Well, there is more coming. This is just accordingly to Jeroen, this is just a low-hanging fruit, but he's already working on so many more improvements. This code apparently was very old, but there is more coming. And yeah, it might be a low-hanging fruit, but looking at the code is so mind-boggling. The other improvement, and let's do the pipe. Into video sequence editor. This is a quality of life / performance improvement. Well, performance. It's a quality of life. Less work, because the main change is that there is some improvements done in the way the video sequence editor handles the alpha over. So it's supposed to be better when you have overlapping images, for example, and you want them, and you know that the image is not transparent. You know that there's no transparency in the image. Well, you can calculate the alpha around it, at least around the strip, and it just works great. This works basically how would you expect it. So if you have, for example, if I have here my image video editing, let's add some stuff here. Let me add here I have my video, right, by this is a video from the Fox by Daniel Beisted. Well, did it ever happen that you drag and drop things and they are just not you don't see the transparency? Well, now you do. Now there are by default alpha over. Yes, mind blowing. Remember, this changed for a bit actually. Some versions ago, it was alpha over, but people were complaining about performance issues. Luckily now this is fixed. Hopefully that is fixed now, so it should be okay. So yeah, as expected. Before it would look something like in cross. So it will look like this. Super neat. Well, alpha over where it makes sense, of course. Well, I don't know how is everything alpha over now? Even text? Yeah, everything. Interesting. Well, as long as the image doesn't have transparency, the should be fine. Speaking of performance, there is a few performance improvements in the node editor, in the drawing of the node editor. Ever notice that it can get a bit slow to draw things in the node editor, especially if you have a bunch of nodes, especially if you have sockets. Apparently, the drawing of the sockets can be a source of lag. If you have a heavy scene with a bunch of sockets, apparently it can get very slow. So this commit fixes it by Eric. The sockets are not going to draw if the zoom is too low. So if you're zoomed out enough, which by the way, now the zoom is much larger. You can zoom out as even more than before. The sockets are not going to draw anymore, which can make it render or like draw the view much faster. How much faster? I think it's mentioned about 25% faster. So I'm curious to see in the file by Erindale. Erindale, yeah, there you are in the chat. How's your... Have you tested this already? This was added on Wednesday. So are your crazy setups now faster? Or everybody doing November, which is still happening, by the way. If you are not aware, it's never too late. You don't have to do November from scratch. You can join anytime. You don't have to... It's not like... Well, Inktober feels like that. It's like, oh, it's 2nd of October. I'm already done. Join even if it's halfway or for a topic that you like. So yeah, that's the minimum zoom is also now more open. You can go further in further out in the zoom, and not only that, there's new support of let's see, custom instance attributes. So the change under the hood is so the instances can have custom attributes, and when exposed you can now see them in the spreadsheet as viewer. So support instances component viewer node columns. After the commit that I just mentioned, instances have their own attribute domain, but the spreadsheet code worked under the assumption that the component used the point domain. Now they use the proper domain, the attribute domain. All files have to reselect the instance data source to make it properly active. I don't know if you noticed, but the spreadsheet now looks a bit different. That's because it's using the same code under the hood than the asset browser has. So yay for unifying stuff. See, it's the same. So cool. It's the same concept. Eventually, maybe even the outliner could have it, or other areas in Blender, because it's a pretty similar concept. Nesting, even UI list could benefit from this, like the dragging and drag and dropping that is supported here could be in here. Okay, what else? Related to this about the attribute domain and the instance attributes, they are now instance attributes in transfer capture nodes. So updates the transfer attributes and capture attribute nodes to support attributes from instances in this commit by Eric Abrahamson. Okay, let's see. Am I missing something? I feel like the chat is going full speed even. Am I missing something? When will Cycles X be added into the stable release of Blender? Cycles X is already in the beta of Blender 3.0. So when 3.0 comes out stable, that's when Cycles X will be stable. However, it's just gonna say Cycles. The Cycles X is the name of the project that like in progress project to improve Cycles, but the end result of the Cycles X project is just Cycles. So if you download the beta, you're gonna see you're just gonna see Cycles here. You're not gonna see Cycles X. It's just Cycles. Good old Cycles. So when 3.0 comes out, hopefully 3 December. Hopefully. Okay. That's it. That is actually it with the changes of the sequence of the node editor. Then the mention that I already did of the spreadsheet data set to the UI preview. Again, nothing has changed for the user except the outline. And that is all. There is one more fix commit that I would like to mention. That is a regression in basically in 293 there was a regression of the way the complex solidify modifier worked with negative thickness. So that has been fixed. All right, what else? I think I'm done. I am. That's it. That's all the thing. Am I missing something? Let's go to Dev Talk and go to the... is that the homepage of the Dev Talk? There's no more categories. So if I want to go to the news, to the meeting notes, I can just go to code.blender.org. We link from there to the weekly updates thread. And here, 22 November, that is correct. is that 3.0 Beacon 4 planned for 2 days from now? Beacon 4. Scary. Add-ons policy update. No, I think I mentioned all of it. Oh, the Eevee. Well. This is an announcement. This is 3.2 territory. We're getting into not speculation, because this is in working price. Okay, people, we're not talking about 3.0 or 3.1 anymore. We are talking about 3.2 and ahead. So when is 3.2 gonna come out? So if March 9 is 3.1 release, then I assume it's gonna be 4 months later, so that would be July, August-ish, around that time. Summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So what is it? Eevee rewrite. Yes, Cycles X is not only one project. The other render engine is also getting a Cycles X treatment because it's getting a rewrite. With the goal of improving some existing features, but also adding new features, supporting the future of Eevee. So what does it include? Well, virtual shadow mapping, increase the shadow resolution and maximum sharpness while keeping relatively low footprint. So your render is going to look prettier, especially on the shadows. Soft surface scattering, new algorithm that eliminates light leaking between objects and supports per pixel radius. So yeah, closer to Cycles. Highlight count support. Lights are now efficiently cooled and there is virtually cooled, but when they are not in the frustrum of the camera. The frustrum, I like that word. Frustrum is when things are outside of. This is the frustrum. Outside. Consider culling. And there is virtually no limit to the maximum number of lights. Dangerous words, Clema. Virtually no limits. People are gonna go pushing the limits. Okay, panoramic camera. This is so requested by the community. By rendering up to 6 views, we can cover any panoramic projection by reprojecting the sample. So, fish eye in Eevee 3.2, hopefully. Motion blur now supports shatter curve. So the same as Cycles, you could blend. The idea is to support it. But my favorite, so by far, is the proper support of objects, of grease pencil objects. Treat it like real geometry, not like something else that you just plunk on top of the render, but actual geometry. You know, 2.8 brought grease pencil objects into a first-class citizen. This will take it into business class or more, first class. Okay, what is better, business class or first class? Usually business is lower and then first class. Any class. Shading. Arbitrary number of BSDFs are now supported without major performance impact. Another bold claim. Ray tracing and subsurface scattering is no more restricted to one BSDF node. Exciting. Thickness output. There's a new output which controls the thickness for translucency, refraction, and volume shader. Render pass. All the passes are rendered at once and do not need multiple geometry passes, except Cryptomat. So, pretty exciting. Ray tracing is even mentioned here. Where is pointiness? Where is point? No, I'm kidding. Although this is amazing. It is amazing. Just knowing that there is a rewrite and that everything is ready for the future. Super cool. This might push the I don't know if this is already pushing the minimum requirement for or maybe this is making use of newer technologies. I don't know if it's pushing the requirements of OpenGL. I don't think so, but at least it would benefit from newer versions of OpenGL. Although for this to be implemented, I think metal support should be added first, though. Film finish. Well, this is the progress, the list of tasks without a task attached. It's all gonna be one big patch. But yeah, most of it, like you can see in the progress, is close there. The panoramic is not too far. still have issues with border blending on different views. But sample accumulation has started. Shutter curve for motion blur is almost done, or done, I would say. Green. This is fully green, I think. Then shading. It still hasn't started. Displacement is pretty far there, actually. The battery icon indicates the progress, and the little circles indicate priority. So texture node support, fix the bump, memory usage, they're all high priority, but they haven't... Oh, shader to RGB, that's super cool. But they haven't been added yet, in progress yet. New algorithm, bam, done. High priority and done. Object space volume, high quality. Good. Screen space tracing port, glossy ray, diffuse ray. So the fact that this is all green, is it already in the branch? Because there's a branch called Eevee Rewrite. The fact that it's green doesn't mean that it's already in the branch. Interesting. Efficient light culling is already there, already done. Virtual shadow mapping, almost done. Cryptomatte, a bunch of others still in progress, except Grace Pencil, geometry support, which is, I've seen pictures, and it seems to be almost there. Any plans for Vulkan? Yeah, that is work. That's work that can be done separate from it. It's not a showstopper, apparently, which is super nice to hear. And parallax occlusion mapping. How's that coming? It's even mentioned, right? Parallax. There you go. Exciting. And displace. This is gonna... Next November is also gonna be nuts. With Eevee displacement and shading nodes, geometry nodes, who knows, physics nodes, hair nodes. Crazy. So pretty exciting. Again, disclaimer, this is 3.2 territory. So summer next year in the Northern Hemisphere, around July, August, in the Gregorian calendar. Let's see some questions. Let's see if anybody has asked questions. Anybody, 18 people, 18 comments at least have been left here. So first of all, thank you, Greens Gold. Here's my like. Let's see what are questions in the last episode of Blender.Today Live. But again, there might be another show. Maybe if I manage to be settled in Argentina by the time Blender 3 comes out. I'll see. I'm gonna bring my laptop. I'm gonna be working just as usual for that day at least, and whatever fire I need to put out. Let's see. Entertainer007. Entertainer 007. Hello Pablo, I have a question about linking rigs in Blender 3.0. Usually when I link rigs, I use the make proxy option, but in Blender 3.0 that option is removed. Then I found out that you can use library override. Yes, library overrides are a replacement for the make proxy operator. At first everything works fine, but then I found that all of my custom properties are disabled without a warning. That's not right. Without a warning saying that you can't edit properties from an override data block. This is a problem because my rigs use a Python script that use those properties. Is there a way to make the custom properties work? And you should be able to. Where are those custom properties stored? Maybe you should check in where are they stored. I think so far materials are not supported, but objects are. Object data is bones, should be. Depends on where you have those stored, but otherwise if it doesn't work, report it as a bug, because then they should be fixed. Like the Sprite Fright production, which is here, Sprite Fright, has been using overrides, the new system, for a year, for over a year, so it should be there. Hey Pablo, do the stats in Blender crashes taken from Steam, Microsoft Store, and Snap Store affect the development of Blender? No, not yet. I don't think we are even I don't remember even looking at them, like collecting them, the crashes. The crashes mainly, they can be crashes for pretty much anything. I don't think they do well, I don't know, so I shouldn't even say, but I don't know how deep of a backtrace or how much info do they share when something crashes. So I'm not sure. And the crashes can happen for all kinds of reasons. Out of memory, like computer can be maybe not powerful enough, or like slightly sneezed while moving the subdivision number slider and suddenly you crash your computer. Add-ons can make your Blender crash. So yeah, no, not that for the time being. I think the list of crashes in developer.blender.org is already it's already big enough to even look at. But it would be cool. It would be interesting to see. I don't know exactly if they show graphics, but it would be cool to see, like, okay, after, like, what was the crash, especially on Steam, because on Steam we have beta releases, so that's when you want more the data, like which days, like, oh, on Friday, boom, things crashes peaked or something. What add-ons were used to make the next gen movie? The one from Tangent Animation? No idea what they use, but I know that for Sprite for our own open movie projects, there's barely no add-ons except the ones that are made by the Blender Studio, and they are offered on Blender Studio website. Tools here: Cloud Rig, Kitsu, Contact Sheet, Add-on, Blender Perch, Shot Builder, etc. Do Blender servers collect digital traces? How many Blender servers have CPU memory resources? Do Blender servers collect digital traces? I don't know what do you mean with digital trace? How many Blender servers have CPU memory resources? No, like, I think, like, you mean if you download something from blender.download.org, like download.blender.org, like releases, this kind of release, not releases. This doesn't have doesn't give anything. How many Blender servers on the Blender website itself? There is the Google Analytics one, so that's the usual, but we're planning to replace that with our own local analytics, so they are in Blender. But it's mainly to know how many Windows users, how many Linux, how many Mac OS. If there is a new the new M1, for example, for Apple, is like, okay, how many people are downloading, but it's just the number of how many downloads they are, which version it is, and well, that's it. Besides the usual, like the things that Google Analytics, they collect, like the size of the screen, if it's mobile or not, which comes in handy when making the website. It's like, okay, how many people use Blender on the phone, see Blender.org on the phone, and that kind of stuff. Hey Pablo, grateful for you and the team and all the work you're putting into making Blender the best program out there. Thank you. I have a question about Geometry Node's roadmap. Will there be a Python node to script up as a part of change? Is that being considered at all? Yes, I think there was even a patch at some point, or it's I wouldn't rule it out. I think it was mentioned at some point. I don't know when exactly though. That is a community contribution. Printer Killer, which supported of Blender Cloud, Blender. Oh, this needs to be changed. The name of the batch, the Cold Quest, and Sprite Fried says, "Hey Pablo, I just wanted to say thanks for the live stream. Mondays are always more fun. Thanks because of that. Thank you. They're also more fun for me. I don't know artist. ADK artist. It's a shot in the dark. Hey Pablo, it's a shot in the dark on whether or not you are privy of any of this information, but do you have any idea as to how far back support will go for AMD's HIP implementation? I'm sure it's not super easy to get a graphics card at the moment, and my Vega 56 isn't compatible with Cycles, constantly crashes, and there's no plan to fix it now. So I'm crossing my fingers. I don't know exactly the version that will be supported, but if yeah, you can read in the release notes, there are plans already to support as much as possible. Like, it's not just the previous version, but as much as possible. And even the ones that are not officially supported, they are giving really good numbers. If you read the comments in the code blog, there is people that here, for example, seems to work with my RX 580, which it's not in the list of officially supported, but it's getting an update. So it's getting faster rendering. So I recently got my RX, well, this is my amazing new, my Vega 64 is still in my wife's computer, so I hope that it will get to work for them. Then he replied, at 300 samples in the Vega 64 render at 3.3 minutes 1 second, and in the RX 6600 at 2 minutes 36. So it seems to have been improved compared to the previous one. So this is OpenCL, and this is in AMD. Wait. Okay, no, I don't understand the numbers. These are all OpenCL? Where are the... Trying to understand the... Which ones are the new ones, the new numbers? But it seems to be pretty fast. And less unstable than OpenCL. People seems to be happy with the RX 500 series. This is amazing. I just gave it a try with my RX 6500, and it's 5 to 6 times faster and 2.2 times faster than 2.9 cycles on OpenCL. In the release notes, though, there were some mentions about supporting older graphics cards. Like, we're working with AMD to add support for Linux and investigate earlier generation graphics cards for the 3.1 release. So hopefully soon. Noted that in the AMD driver, HIP is only officially support for RDNA 2 graphics cards. However, we have found that RDNA it also works in practice. Next. So yeah, crossing fingers, but I don't know exactly which versions will be supported. Like, really don't know. It's not that I can say, but I just don't know. Thanks for all your work on those streams. It's been an absolute joy to hear you talk about everything new in Blender every week. Have a fantastic break. So nice, thank you. I'm actually gonna give a like to all the answers to all the comments that I answered. So, hi Pablo, is it possible to make a 3D view window running full screen without any interface displayed? Yes, there is. If you go to view area, you can go into toggle full screen area, and bam. And then if you remove all the overlays from the you didn't see it. So if you remove this overlay, and then you go to view area, toggle full screen, or Control Alt space bar, bam, see, it's full screen. And if you remove the overlays, then this is as full screen as you want it, because if you go full screen, then yeah, if you go to window, even full screen, well, you're probably not gonna see it in the stream, but do a combination of window, full screen, and then go to view area, toggle full screen area, and that is the ultimate full, no nothing. Probably notifications from an annoying operating system will show up, but that's it. Next question by MP Interisvi. Hi Pablo, what do you think should be the next open movie? Agent 327 feature film, Cosmos 2, or maybe another Caminandes? Personally, I would love to see a sequel to Cosmos because it's my favorite open movie. It is also my favorite open movie, Cosmos. I think it would be amazing to have a second episode, but I don't think it's going, like, should be or would be. Should be the next open movie. I think I would like for the team to work on smaller projects. I think the spring open movie was over I don't know, a year, 9 months. Sprites was over a year. In the middle there was Coffee Run, but I would like to see more of that. There was also a Settlers project. I would love to see what the team can do with the Settlers project, like in the films. This was awesome. These little characters, amazing. I think for exploration, they are awesome. For the community, they get new animations every other week, every week. I would love to have shorter projects with more exploration on style. Even though I would love to have another Caminandes, the style of Caminandes could be explored more into something more NPR, if you like it. Would love to, you know, more a mix between Hero and Caminandes, or the Daily Dweebs, but with more, you know, use more grease pencil. Remember when these films were made, the grease pencil was in like Daily Dweebs, when grease pencil was in the beginnings of the new change. Okay. Hi Pablo, what do you think? Okay, sorry. Again, Cosmos favorite. Can I have an add knob in the right mouse button menu? Add knob. A knob, like a twisting thing. Knob in the right. Not what you. No, so I don't know what you mean. We don't have the concept of a knob, although I like it. The concept of a knob in a knob in, like a, you know, like a studio, or like those softwares. They have knobs. They have, or the VSTs have a UI that it's amazing, that they look like real, like it's just like a real button, or like dangling cables. I love that. And this never gets old. I've never seen this like going into like minimal. No, the other way around, full on BMP images and glows, and I love it. I like that they look like actual objects and not so flat, and yeah. Next. Know that hello Pablo, Slowkit says, know that thanks to the Geometry Nodes project, the Nodes editor is having quite some nice new features. It would be nice to improve the nodal workflow, having the possibility to select, detach, and move noodles just by clicking on its ends, and having the noodle sticking to the mouse instead of having to click and hold while dragging, which causes stress on the arm and makes it more tiring to work with large nodes. It was already posted on right-click select. Keep in mind that it has images from other software, so maybe you don't want to share it on the screen during the live. It's not a proprietary feature anyway. It's like a behavior well known in many nodal softwares. This has been, well, the improving of other, I don't know which software is this, but the improvement of the node tree are planned, part of the UI. As if you compare like the node tree in 2.93 and now, I think we work on it. I mean, some are visual improvements like the outline, some are like more work in progress, UI work, and some are in work in progress, like the drop to add a to search, like select the thing and drag to search. The click to that would be good as an option. I think like you click and then you click. I think that would be a good improvement. Although I use a pen, and for the pen is really natural. You just press on it and drag. I could recommend. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't do it. I think we should. It would be a good option to have. But the pen, the switching between the pen and the mouse, it's, I wouldn't say mandatory, but for your own hand health, that would be the best. And if you mix it with right-click select, even better. Okay, thanks for the recommendation. There are more plans. I had a lot of fun with the work that we managed to do in the UI team, as all UI/Node/other module team work that we did for 3.0, and there is so much more. Like, I almost don't want to go on holidays because of all the cool things I would like to fit in 3.1 that I couldn't fit in 3.0, or just being more present in other modules and talk with other modules. And now that we're finally all back in the studio, the people, and we're not working from home so much, at least people here, that we can just go and chat. And we had a discussion today about the asset browser, and in just hanging out there chatting for 5 minutes, we came up with a discussion that online would have taken long. And I love the interaction that we have, and Blender is so lucky to have the opportunity to have a place, a building for these kind of discussions. Blender is super lucky, and that is thanks to the development fund members and the donations to the Blender Foundation. So yay. We are exactly one time, I think 1 hour, 5:06. So let's do 5 more questions. There is one that is a bit long here. Let's load more. Hopefully it's gonna load right ones. Let's see. I should actually load the old ones. Okay, and let me read this one, and then I'm gonna refresh the page and go to the first ones that were asked, so they are sorted by time. So yeah, to be fair. Okay, next question by Mati. Hi. I realize the Blender Institute focuses on Blender and 3D, but I'm curious if there is any thought on developing future softwares to complement Blender. I ask because if there is one major thing missing in the free and open source software and cross-platform front, like Linux, it's an image editing tool. GIMP just doesn't do it for a lot of people. I disagree immediately because I use GIMP every single day. I wish many things will be fixed and features will be added, but I've been using it for forever. And the team here has been using it forever. There is Greta as well. So okay, sorry, I'm gonna continue. But just saying that GIMP doesn't do it, I think it's a bit unfair. GIMP is fantastic. Make sure you use the development version. They don't release as often, I think, or at least that's I have the feeling. But I don't know the release schedule, but I use the development version and I rarely have any crashes at all. Development version for me, it's not an advice, but I see new features coming up very often. And my favorite feature now is that the scaling now, the zooming of the viewport is exactly the same as in Blender. So I think I don't have GIMP. Yeah, I have it in a different desktop. Okay, Adobe holds the monopoly with Photoshop in the same way that Autodesk does with 3D, and I think Blender has begun to break that monopoly. I wish there was an image editing tool to do the same. There is Affinity Photo, but that's neither free and open source nor fully cross-platform. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Affinity, well, I see it really difficult that they would become open source because, I don't know, I just have that feeling. However, if they would just decide to have Affinity running on Linux, they will take over. They will take over because everybody, like one of the biggest complaints is not that it's not fully open source, is that there's just no support at all on Linux. So is other software something you guys have ever considered coining the name Smoothie for whatever software you guys make next? I hear a lot of people say GIMP is just as good as Photoshop, but it's really not. And I agree, it's not as good as Photoshop, but it is good for a lot of things. And not many professionals take it seriously. Krita, on the other hand, is awesome. It's just geared towards painting mainly and not something to compare to Photoshop Affinity Photo. I think it's good that there is variation and many open source softwares tackling the same issue. I think for some areas it's a bit overdone. I think the video editing world of open source apps is just there's so many. I lost track of them. For the case of video photo editing, it's not as open, not as many, but yeah. Looking forward to 3.0. Keep up the great work. So yeah, I guess Blender itself, I don't see Blender developing that. However, making a a better integration between Blender. Blender is it's a 3D software, but it's also 2D. You know, you can also paint in animation, and painting is such a basic feature of a 3D pipeline, of animation pipeline. Like painting is everything. So I think Blender is gonna go more towards that area, improving in the texture painting in 3D, material creation, nodal brushes, all of that, without the need of having a separate app, because again, painting is part of the pipeline of the 3D animation to the animation pipeline. Okay. Let's see. No real knob, just Shift A in the right mouse button menu. Shift A in the right mouse button menu. Which one though? Here? Shift A? But just press Shift A. Like object menu, Shift A in the viewport. Sorry, I didn't understand. I will reload the page so I can quickly, because I think the loading more only works right if there is... Okay, here, there is one that has a vote. So the idea is to first read the ones that have votes. Okay, let's do. This is question number 4. In 3.0 beta, the UI is still super laggy with heavy scenes, especially instancing. Here's a simple example. Makeover. Okay, this how to make it. Thus, there is a very basic problem with the code. Is it? Because something unnecessary iterates as the result of the instance points, millions of useless instructions per second. Well, if you have it, did you do like benchmarks? Actually, there shouldn't be any geometry related calculations at all if there is no demand for that. There is room for improvement, optimization. Such problems make Blender quite unattractive for people who use so-called industry standard softwares. It looks like you have done a fantastic benchmark or debug. So please submit that. Make a task and do show the results of your research on a very specific case that makes it easier for developers to tackle. Because you can, if you follow the show, you know that performance is a constant topic, especially for 3.0 and 3.1 and 3.0 in the future. It's performance is being taken seriously lately. Mesh editing, so viewport in the future. So please share your findings, more than a comment, but in the form of a benchmark with numbers and comparison, and point out the parts that can be improved, because it looks like you have a understanding of this area. So that will help a lot. Next. And that's it. That was question 4. Question 3. Okay, let's go to the bottom. Which one is the bottom? Hopefully only the end of mankind. Have a nice holiday at home. Thank you. Inconceivable, the last episode. Hey, I will try to post in the Blender official Instagram account. So if you haven't followed already, please do so. The link is in the description if I'm not wrong, not sure. Otherwise, Blender.official on Instagram. We're also Blender.official on TikTok. Hey Pablo, says Steve. I hope you're well. Now that Cycles has been redesigned and now new features can be added in coming releases, I hope a feature request I made a while back can be considered. I would like to see the render window features be expanded to allow direct comparison between two renders side by side with a slider. You can see the feature request here. Let's see. Like this, like slots. Or yeah, with this it would be great. The split viewer has that feature. Also not related, but I would really like to see states added in Blender so that you can make changes to your scene in a state or what other software might refer to a pass. And then you could have a drop down or a list of states that you could switch between, or either rendering at other scene item states. States added in Blender, so you can make changes to your scene in a state or what other software might refer to. Wow, so you store a state of your scene. How's different from a new scene? Like, what is... Wow, no, I never heard of that concept, but I'm kind of thinking of what are the implications of that? Like how far does it go? Isn't it just a new scene? If you add a new object in that scene, in that state, does it become part of the state? Does it only take settings, like actual settings, no new data? It's interesting. I have never heard of it, actually. I make a proposal. or at least expand on that. I never seen it. More than that, we need a proper render window. New render window discussed on Blender daily. Is this the video that talks about how the render... is this... Let's see if it's like a French person.
Thank you everyone for the great feedback. All the way to white. In the
Oh yes, I've seen this video.
Which allows us to copy and then pass our renders direct.
Yes, I've seen this video and I agree, I think, with pretty much everything. I don't remember exactly what were the features, but the thing that struck me was the how you can change between images images in Blender, textures, and render results. It makes no sense. We need a proper render window. This is this is awesome. This I don't know exactly how much fleshed out is this proposal, but having a Blender developer or a community developer, it's a great project for someone. There is already the concept of of the image viewer editor. So yeah, this feature that you are explaining about comparison totally fits with the render window, proper render window. I can't like this. Okay, 2 more questions. Hi Pablo, I was just curious if there was any talk about the inclusion of touch gestures for navigating the 3D view so that you don't need a keyboard and mouse when sculpting, painting with a pen. Last I tried, it wasn't implemented. I feel like this option would make things a lot easier. Touch gestures for navigating the viewport. No, I don't know exactly. Although there is support for the end of the space navigator, that and trackpad, you know, like pinching, zooming, that's supported for the trackpad, but not for the viewport. No, never seen it though. Hi Paula, I wanted to know about this patch, if there is any news. 10,000 user pref to disable Frenet effect for wireframes. No, well, look at the excitement. No, I mean, if there is no updates here, then I don't know exactly the current state of this. I can ask maybe Yorun, like, what was the last decision made? But yeah, no, absolutely. I have not followed this patch, but I talked with Yorun today. Maybe I can ask tomorrow. If you make support for new processors from Apple, is it possible to assume that a Blender may appear for the iPad Pro with an M1 chip? After all, the chips are the same. The chips are the same, but they're... Well, first of all, I don't know, because that's something that Apple is doing. They are adding support for... like, they add support for the M1s. That is for Mac OS. It's not necessarily for Apple, for iPad OS. Also, I don't know if their store... Like, you can only install apps from the App Store, I think, and those are GP. I don't know if a GPL is compatible with. I really don't know. Sorry. There is also the question about what do you do with a touch. You have to disable all kind of touch and just use either a pen, an Apple Pencil, or mouse. You plug in a mouse via Bluetooth. Use a mouse via Bluetooth. Not sure though. It's probably not as simple as it sounds. Okay. Also the file system. How do you read the file system of an iPad? They have a file, yeah, right? They added in the iPad OS 15. I think they added, or 14 something. They added navigation in their files. I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry. However, the fact that now Apple is contributing with code for Metal and for all the other, the M1 patch, for example, super exciting. Just as exciting as wrapping up this show. So, how is the chat doing? Hi, nice to talk to you. I arrived now. Do you use Linux with Blender? Affirmative. I am using the Linux here, and I just compiled my Blender, and this is Linux. Then you can see about. I'm using Pop OS here, 2104, GNOME 338. At home, I use Fedora 35 with X11, though I couldn't make it work with the Wayland, and GNOME 40 something, 41, I think. So yeah, super, super neat. That was a lot to cover. How was it for you? Did you have a good time? We are going to wrap it up for the year. Last year, we only took, I think, 1 week off, or even not even less. I think we didn't stop last year throughout the entire 2020 to 2021. Did you notice? I think it's time to take a little break. I'm going to come back in January. So January, I'm going to be here. January, when is it? The 3rd? No, the 10th of January, I'm going to be around here. It's going to take a while for me to take to go back into everything that was new for that. So I am thinking of updating the Blender updates. If you've been around for a while, you may remember that the last time that I went to South America for my holidays, I was also doing some stories in here. I don't think I saved any of them, but I was making stories in the Blender.Official Instagram where I was like, hey, they added, because it was in the middle of the 2.8 craziness. So yeah, there were like big features announced there that I remember making stories about. I will try to do it again if internet allows me. I'm not gonna disconnect completely from the Blender updates at all, so feel free to follow Blender.Official on Instagram, and you're gonna find out maybe some new features. Of course, if you can't wait and you really want to see the new what's new in Blender, remember that in the code blog there is here in the sidebar the weekly updates link where you can just click on it, and you will see the dev talk category where you can see everything that's new. Pretty much everything that I show in this Blender today, you're gonna find them here. Even sometimes more complete. Sometimes I mention other things that are not here on the list that I think they're relevant. So it's a nice companion. You're not alone. It's not gonna be drop alone. By the way, this t-shirt's coming back. The Default Cube t-shirt is coming back. The Eat, Sleep, Blend, Repeat is also coming back at the end of the year. Hopefully at the beginning of next year. That's it. I think what else I have to mention about the store is that if you want to get a Blender t-shirt or something from the store, or a Blender socks from the store for Christmas, you should get it as soon as possible, because I think it takes like 3 weeks for the outside of Europe, outside of the world. Other than that, I think I said everything. How's the chat? Good health to you, Pablo, and your whole family. Best wishes from Poland. Thank you very much. That is so nice. Have a nice break with your family. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone. Will be a long Blender today when you are back. Yes. I actually have to do the Blender today in Spanish now in half an hour. Blender hoy. So it's still not over. I should save my voice for that. But it's so nice to hear all saying good things in the chat. I love doing the show. Hey, Pablo, are you married? I don't know. I don't think I will ever. But you never know. What do you want for Christmas? For Christmas, what do I want for Christmas? I want everybody to get what they want, be it in the shape of Blender features, or spending time with their families, or making or finding time to build your own, I don't know, house in Blender in 3D, or building it real life by using Blender concepts. Anything, just everybody to get what they want. That is all. let's wrap it up. And as always, you know that you need to watch your ear holes. I think the audio is not going to be super loud. I can make it louder though. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Thank you. Thank you once again, everybody. It's been a fantastic year. 3 releases. Blender 3 comes out in 2 weeks. Enjoy. Go. Share. Bye.